Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host. We're here in Henderson, Colorado. So I saw something cool on the way down I-25. There's an air show this weekend, and they were doing some practicing for it. So take a look at the video I shot. It's not super awesome, but still kind of cool. Watching the Blue Angels practice for an air show here in northern Colorado. That's your diamond formation, ladies and gentlemen.
Posing solos.
So a little personal story. Of course, being in the Navy, you know, I always think the Blue Angels are like super cool. And I had one of my midshipmen was a Blue Angel, like, after he graduated, obviously. And he was in a video, and I think it was Motor Trend, and I'm going to try to find a video and link to it, but his name is Ben, and his call sign was Baxter, and he was in a video where they raced like a ZR1 Corvette against an F-18, and so like I said, I'll try to find that. But super nice guy. He was a good kid when he was younger, and was one of my midshipmen, one of those guys that, you know, no trouble, pleasure to be around. So, and obviously, if he ended up in the Blue Angels, he's like the best of the best. So, props to him. And so I wanted to address something today. Somebody asked me a question, and I said it's really complicated, so I'll do a video about it. So here was the question. The question was, why are there so many trainees, and, you know, why is Prime hiring new people basically to be trainees to go through PSD or whatever and TNT if there aren't enough trainers? And the reason that's not really just a, you know, driver, you know, trainer to trainee ratio question, like say it would be teachers to students, is because the trainees at Prime get matched with trainers and there are lots of considerations. First of all, the first consideration is there's like this personality survey, and I think people have said it's, you know, eHarmony for truck drivers. So there's that aspect of it. And so they try to match people based on like personality and some of their beliefs, etc. And then there's the smoker, non-smoker issue. And, you know, and I guess you could understand that if you didn't smoke, let's say you're a trainee and you don't smoke, or you don't smoke and you have asthma or something, you wouldn't want to be with some truck driver that's, you know, smoking like a chimney. Like, I rode with a guy one time because I was just basically catching a ride, and I drove his truck because he was out of hours, and I drove us from Charlotte back to Carlisle. This is when I was with Knight, and this dude smoked cigarettes and vaped, and he asked me if I minded if he did it, and I lied to him and I said, no, it's, you know, well, I basically said, hey, it's your truck, you can do what you want, because I've always kind of respected that part of the job, you know. But yeah, I mean, his truck was a freaking mess inside. I mean, there were cigarette ashes on every surface, and when he wasn't like smoking a cigarette, he was vaping. And so you can imagine you wouldn't want to be matched up with a trainer that like that if you don't smoke. So those are two elements to overcome. Then there's the gender element, and that is that some women trainees don't want to be with a male trainer, and other male trainees, and this could be vice versa, right? Some men don't want to be with a female trainer, and some trainers don't want to take somebody of the opposite gender. So I think if my math is right, that's 4 different combinations that have to be overcome. So if there aren't enough trainers of the correct gender, or trainees, right? Because they have to pair up, then that would cause a delay in getting somebody on a truck. The other thing that, and if you follow me, you obviously know this has come up, is the coronavirus, and whether somebody's vaccinated or not. It's been kind of weird. Like, I had a trainee that was vaccinated, but his trainer wasn't vaccinated, but then his trainer didn't want him on the truck because he had been exposed to somebody with coronavirus. But, so there are those things. And then all of it, forget about all of that stuff for a second and just consider that it's, personalities and stuff like that. And sometimes you find that out at the kind of initial interview, because trainers don't have to take a trainee. If they meet the person and just don't think it's going to be a good fit, they can decline them. So those are some of the factors that go into it. And then there are situations where somebody was training someone, but for whatever reason it didn't work out. So now that person, in that situation where a trainee gets off of a trainer's truck, either because the trainee's unhappy, the trainer's unhappy, or they're both unhappy, and it could be that they got along famously, but something has happened. Like, maybe the trainer had an emergency at home and he needed to be home for a few weeks, or vice versa. And so then you have somebody that's partially trained that needs to get finished. And so there are drivers out there. I've had 2 TNT trainees. Both of them came from other people's trucks. I think Lyle at No Hippie Trucking and Transportation has taken over a couple of training scenarios where those people came from other people's trucks. So that's not uncommon, right? Because you want to get people through training. So I think the company looks at it like, hey, let's get this person finished, because then they can move on to being an A seat, to upgrading and doing their own thing. Because while you might be waiting to start training, you can imagine if you were almost all the way through and couldn't finish. That would be super frustrating. Candidly, the other thing is that when you already have somebody that has, gotten through PSD, gotten through the vast majority of TNT, and they're off somebody's truck through really no fault of their own, you wouldn't want to be in limbo like that. So I think those are some of the factors. I mean, this is not exhaustive. I'm not stating any company policy here. I'm just sharing with you what I know about the system. So when they say, hey, like if somebody applies to Prime, they say, hey, it's going to be, 3 weeks before you can come. Or somebody gets through, let's say, PSD, they have a CDL, and they're like, we don't have a trainer for you right now. I mean, that just happens. I mean, but here's the thing to keep in mind. That happens at a lot of companies, and the only companies that I think it probably doesn't happen at is somebody like CRST, where they just go, oh, you just got your CDL today? Guess what? Here's Jim. He just got his CDL today. You guys are now a team, and you're going to train each other. But any place that has, like, I don't know, a little higher level training program like Prime or Knight or somebody, you may have to wait for a trainer. It's just the nature of the industry. And, for what it's worth, when I was in the military, a lot of training billets are just like the military says, hey, you're going to do this. And you better be good at the job or it's going to hurt your career. And, there's a little, the military has a lot more leverage over people. And conversely, when somebody's a trainee in the military, for whatever reason, this jockey just pulled out, but he didn't lift up oh, there he goes. He was dragging the landing gear because we're at the FedEx facility. The trainees don't get a choice either. So I guess you can imagine that you wouldn't want that in this particular industry because you're just stuck. You're stuck in this small space for weeks at a time, and you want it to work out. And so, anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm happy to answer questions on it. I do think it was a good question. And I think if you feel like a company is the right place for you, waiting for a trainer shouldn't deter you. Because like I said, you can go to CRST and probably get a trainer pretty quickly, but it's going to be somebody that knows about trucking as much as you do, which is basically zero if you just got your CDL. So, and let me just say so that's the conclusion of that, but let me just say for the record, I'm not always in the passenger seat. I just tend to, I've drove overnight through Wyoming, and but I ride in the passenger seat a lot when I guess I could be sleeping, but I want to make sure that I'm being a good teammate and, navigating and, doing all this stuff. So right now, Connie went in by herself to the receiver here at the FedEx ground facility. She's dropping the trailer by herself. She knows how to do all that stuff, and I'm just letting her be the truck driver right now, and I'm just the passenger. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate all the viewers and all the subscribers. We're almost to 600 subscribers, so that's really cool. Anyway, talk to you later. Oh, and yeah, we got a meat load out of Colorado here. It's going to be a 2-stopper, one in Oregon, one in Washington, up near Seattle, and then we got a load. We already know we're going to grab a load out of Washington headed for Florida, but we're actually going to bring that back to Springfield and drop it. And Connie's getting off the truck for a little while. She's doing some stuff she needs to do. I'm gonna do a sleep. I'm gonna go. I will sleep hopefully, but I will be doing a little home time. So, because I really haven't been home for more than a day or something since middle of August. So, anyway, stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.